Welcome to Hellenic Heritage Journeys. Here, we share the fascinating stories hidden within Greece's archaeological sites. In every episode, we take a journey through space and time, uncovering the traces of people who lived, created, and left their mark thousands of years ago. Follow the thread of history with us from yesterday to today. This episode was created in collaboration with Marketing Greece. When you step into someone's home, the first thing you usually notice is the decor, the colors, or the view from the window. But here, 2,000 years ago, the host wanted you to notice something else. He wanted you to feel a very specific sensation before you even had time to take off your sandals. Directly opposite the main entrance, he placed a marble inscription, a single word carved deeply into the stone, apalexikakos. It is a word that resonates like both a whisper and a command, he who wards off evil. It was an invocation, a spell carved in marble meant to stop negative energy, envy, or bad luck before the visitor could cross the threshold. What was it that one of the most powerful and wealthy men on the island feared so deeply? Bad luck? The envy of his neighbors? Or perhaps the earth itself, which in this part of the Aegean had a habit of shaking and swallowing up the creations of humans. In this episode, we will enter a villa that lay lost for centuries beneath mud and soil. We will discover that its walls concealed not only gold, mosaics, and luxury, but also humanity's eternal anxiety to build something that will endure longer than oneself, to keep one's life untouched by the relentless passing of time. We find ourselves in the heart of Kos, where the modern fabric of the city meets its roots. The Casa Romana, or more simply the Roman house, was named by the Italian archaeologists who excavated it. But in the 2nd century AD, it was not a monument, it was a living place. Try to picture the scene. We are south of the altar of Dionysus, in the most aristocratic quarter of the ancient city. Beside us runs the Decamanus Maximus, the main road that led pilgrims and patients to one of the most important healing sanctuaries of the ancient Greek world, the Asclepieion of Kos. It is a neighborhood full of light, noise, and movement. Imagine standing on the street outside the villa. You hear the sound of horses' hooves striking the paving stones, the voices of merchants heading towards the nearby agora, and the heavy scent of incense drifting from the altars. This two-story villa, which closely resembles the grand houses of Pompeii, occupies an entire city block. Imagine, in other words, an area of roughly 2,500 square meters, where 4 large houses would normally have been built. One man chose instead to raise his own grand residence. It was a time when Kos was flourishing under the Pax Romana, a long period of relative peace and stability across the Roman Empire. It was an era in which the concept of luxuria was not simple luxury or vanity. It was a political tool, because in Roman society, your home was your public image. The larger the peristyle, the richer the marble, the higher you're standing in the city's hierarchy. But how did we come to be able to walk through these rooms today? The story of the discovery of the Casa Romana is almost as dramatic as its destruction. In 1933, while the Dodecanese Islands were under Italian rule, Kos was struck by a devastating earthquake. The city was leveled, but within the destruction, the earth opened and revealed its secrets. Italian archaeologists, led by Lorenzo Laurenzi, discovered beneath the collapsed houses of their own time the foundations of this monumental residence. The area where the Casa Romana was built was not chosen by its owner by chance. As early as the Hellenistic period, between the 4th and the 1st centuries BC, this part of the city was the heart of Kos's aristocracy. Indeed, before the 2nd century AD, on this very same site, there had stood 2 or 3 different Hellenistic villas, filled with refinement and wealth. But the fate of Kos has long been tied to Enceladus, the mythical giant said to cause earthquakes. When an earthquake struck in 142 AD, all the Hellenistic harmony was, within seconds, reduced to rubble. And yet, that very catastrophe laid the foundations for the monument we see today. Built upon these Hellenistic ruins and incorporating elements that had survived from the earlier houses, the Casa Romana rose in the grand form we witness today, the very form uncovered by Italian archaeologists after the earthquake of 1933. What makes the Casa Romana unique is not simply its exhibits. It is that it is fully accessible as a house. Thanks to an impressive restoration completed in 1940, you can walk through its interior. You can walk through the peristyles, watch the light fall onto the mosaics from the atria, and even climb to the 2nd floor. You are not confronted with ruins. Instead, you step into the rooms, pass beneath the colonnades, and feel the same coolness the owner felt 2,000 years ago. As you move around, listen out for the stillness of the place. Water still murmurs in the fountains. The house breathes around 3 internal courtyards with peristyles, 2 of them once rising over 2 stories, allowing sunlight and air to fill the 40 rooms. In the courtyards stood statues of nymphs and satyrs, of gods and goddesses, Tyche, Aphrodite, Eros, and Athena. Pause for a moment before the first mosaic. Do you see the panther tearing into a deer, the lion lunging at a wild goat? These images were a portrayal of nature and a reminder of its power. Notice the floor beneath your feet. The marble forms geometric patterns that seem to shift as the angle of the sunlight changes throughout the day. Imagine the women of the household walking here in their silk garments, the servants moving swiftly yet silently, the children playing between the columns. In the northwest corner, the kitchen would have been filled with steam and the scent of spices from the east. And then the people. On some of the walls, frescoes survive depicting figures in life-size, warriors, orators, philosophers. They stand there silent, watching you. Who were they? What did they discuss in these halls? This house was a living organism. On the northern side, life was domestic, quieter and more private. But on the western side, luxury reached its peak. There stood the andron, the host's formal reception hall, positioned at the very center of the villa. The walls here are adorned with relief decoration, giving the space a sense of grandeur. The host, perhaps a passionate collector or simply the heir to treasured family items, proudly shows his guests his possessions: a small marble head of Alexander the Great, or a statue of Aphrodite that graces the room. Can you imagine a symposium in this hall? The andron connected to the banqueting hall, the triclinium, another luxurious dining room paved in marble, most likely used in the summer months to keep cool. Imagine the guests reclining around the tables, the smells of food mingling with the fragrance of flowers from the inner courtyards. And yet, this splendor did not last forever. During the earthquake of 365 AD, the house was struck violently for the first time in the form that we know it today, as the Casa Romana. And yet, its inhabitants refused to abandon it. They confined their lives to the southern wing, trying to keep their household alive, until, following further tremors in the 5th or 6th century AD, the earth decided that the story of the Casa Romana as a residence had to come to its definitive end. But fate had one final act. During the Second World War, this ancient monument once again became a refuge. The Red Cross used it as a hospital. A huge red cross was painted on its roof so that aircraft could see it. And it worked. Bombs fell all around, yet the Casa Romana remained standing. The Apalexikakos inscription did its job centuries later. Today, as you step back into the light of modern Kos, the Casa Romana remains behind you like an open time capsule. It doesn't speak to you about the past in terms of dates, styles, or architectural forms. It speaks to you in terms of human resilience. Look at the mosaics on the floor one last time. They're still there exactly where they were once trodden. By slaves, by nobles, by Italian soldiers, by wartime doctors. They endured everything. Think of how many generations have stood before these columns and felt the same sense of awe. Perhaps, in the end, the evil that the inscription at the entrance sought to ward off was obscurity, the idea that one day no one would remember that we lived. If so, then the owner of this house won the greatest battle of all, because we are here 2,000 years later, and the walls of the Casa Romana are still telling us his story. When you find yourself in Kos, don't pass by this place. Don't see it as just another attraction. Step inside and become part of its story. And perhaps, as you leave, you will carry with you a little of that ancient power that wards off evil, defying challenges and the passing of time and keeping memory alive. This is where our journey comes to an end. We hope you enjoyed the story and the path we shared. If you'd like to discover more of Greece's cultural treasures, follow our channel, Hellenic Heritage Journeys, on Spotify. Until next time.